As we head into the holidays and then on to the end of the year, we can't help but to think about planning out the next year and our family's future. But thinking about big, heavy topics like that can be daunting, especially if you have any level of complexities going on in your life. So what do most of us do? Well, sometimes we do nothing. I know you're like, what? That's not what I'm supposed to talk about planning, right? Well, it's sad but true, but like that's what we do. We choose to freeze. It just feels so intimidating that we kind of freeze up and we use that as a perfect excuse for procrastination. However, if you're one of the proactive people who do take action, what's the first action you take? You look for others who can help you in areas that you don't feel confident making decisions on your own. And why don't you have that confidence? It's probably education and experience. You just don't deal with these kinds of matters every day, so you seek out advisors, professionals who do. But what often happens is that despite doing everything you thought was right, you suddenly end up with 2 or 3 professionals, sometimes more. They're different people with different skill sets who tell you, maybe 1 or 2 tell you that they can take charge for you. And maybe they don't tell you that they want to take charge, but they certainly act like they're in charge. And now you're in a worse spot than you were before. How did you get into that mess? Or better yet, how can you completely avoid that kind of a scenario like that? Well, let's have some fun. It's Thanksgiving time, and in this video, we'll see if we can find some ways for you to sidestep that kind of awkwardness. Hey, first off, thanks for listening in and welcome to our Blue Collar Wealth podcast studio. This is a fun time of year for all of us. It's about to be Thanksgiving Day, and if your house is anything like my house, that means football, food, and family. It also means there's probably 2 separate battles going on in our house that day. At least 2 or more people are in the kitchen trying to figure out who the heck's in charge of the food prep. And I guarantee you there's at least 2 or more people in the living room fighting over the TV remote and what to watch. So, well, maybe fighting is a strong word, but there's at least more than one opinion about what to watch on the TV, and definitely a few comments being made as to how certain things should be cooked or prepped out there in the kitchen. So by this time, you're probably thinking, Bob, what in the world does this have to do with finance? It doesn't. Not for this conversation, at least, and not on this holiday. You know what it does have to do with, though? Relationships. They say you can't pick your family, right? And that makes some of us feel more comfortable, and it probably makes a few of us think, yeah, I can tell you 1 or 2 people I would never have selected to be in this family. But keep that to yourself. It also helps some of us cope with things when our house starts to look like a National Lampoon's movie during the holiday time. But you know who you can pick? You can pick your advisors and your professionals who you can hand select to be part of your life and who help you to design your family's future. When you're ready to assemble your team, remember there's only one rule. You and only you are always in charge, 100% of the time. The rest of your team serves at your discretion. Remember, the professionals you'll be hiring to help you along the way are providing you a service. They're not changing their last name to your last name. You're not adopting them. They're not going to be paying your taxes for you or showing up in your home during a lengthy illness to hold your hand and help you through it. That's what family's for. Those are your loved ones and your lifelong friends who will do those things. And I'm not trying to paint professionals in a bad light. Trust me when I tell you, we care deeply about our clients. We celebrate their victories and we mourn their losses. But we also know that we're held accountable and that we can be replaced at any time if we don't play our role well. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? A very overused phrase, but in this case, a very important thing to remember. Hire the right people. Depending on your perspective, you may want to be the quarterback of your team or the head chef of your kitchen. It's the same concept either way. It means you are in charge, and the very first thing that you'll want to think long and hard about is delegation. Do you want to remain in that role, in charge? Or do you want to assign that to someone else? Someone else has that responsibility. When you remain the quarterback or the head chef, then be prepared to stay involved in the day-to-day kinds of things and activities, like communicating between other team members, doing your own research, and creating your own strategies. When you assign it to someone else, you're not really giving up control. You're still the general manager, the owner of that restaurant or the kitchen, whatever, but you're delegating that role to someone you trust. Most importantly, for that person you're giving it to, part of their role is to report back to you. They should be good at communicating between other advisors and come back to you with summaries and reports and advice. Why am I talking about assembling a whole team in the first place? Well, keep in mind that there's a lot of things to think about as you begin to build your wealth. For starters, financial planning. Now, that includes everything from coordinating your cash flows to coordinating your investments, your Social Security, other items like your pensions, rent, capital gains, required minimum distributions, and so on and so forth. There's a lot in that category. The second category would be taxes. I mean, making sure that you only pay what you have to, not a penny more. And keep in mind that the larger your wealth becomes, the bigger the numbers get, and the more chances for opportunities and for mistakes. Third category would be estate planning, making sure that you have enough to live comfortably today, and that when the timing is right, and that's your decision on that timing, your wealth that will transfer to your heirs as efficiently as possible. A fourth topic would be insurance. Just enough coverage to sleep comfortably at night and feel confident that your wealth is not faced with unnecessary risk. Investment planning. Now, that's about coordinating all your investments so that they're in sync with your goals, and your goals, your risk, I should say, are mitigated as much as possible. Healthcare, so much here. There's a ton of attention that's focused more and more on your health every year. And we know that Father Time does not stop the clock for any of us. So coordinating your healthcare with Medicare, Medicaid, prescription drug plans, living wills, powers of attorney, you can go on and on here. And the last category would be charitable. Not all of your money goes to your heirs. Oftentimes people have a charity or two that's near and dear to their heart. And if that's you, you'll want to be sure that it's set up correctly, right? These are all just some of the most popular areas that you're going to deal with, but you can easily see just how complex things can get during this whole process of building your wealth. I'll leave you with this festive thought. Don't let managing your wealth intimidate you, and don't let intimidation cause you to freeze and do nothing. If you find yourself in a position where you have an opportunity to build your net worth, this is an exciting time in your life, for sure, absolutely. Take your time. Find advisors who will play well with others and who are comfortable being held accountable. If you unfortunately find one of them acting like that domineering relative who tries to grab your remote or take the apron and take over your kitchen, kindly and politely show them the door. You don't need to be the one who bends your life around their life or their wishes. Remember, it's your team, no one else's. So, who would you prefer to be quarterback or head chef? I won't beat around the bush with this. At Stonehouse, we're proud of how versatile we are for our clients. If after talking with us, you'd like us to be that role, hey, it's one of our strengths, and we'd be happy to serve on your team as your quarterback or your head chef. If you already have someone who's in that role, but you could still use some help in other areas that we have expertise, then you're in luck too, because we're more than content to serve on your team in that type of a role. So we understand that most wealth is managed by a team of people who work well together. That's the key. We're happy to jump onto your existing team or start at the beginning and help you assemble the team that you need. It starts with a conversation. Contact us when you're ready, and we hope everybody has a fantastic holiday season.